Magicians are the single biggest group in the whole world that still believe in real magic. What do I mean? Well, we watch the ad for a new product and see that it doesn't use any tape, magnets, threads, trapdoors, or mirrors. And as soon as we see that, our pulse quickens, our pupils dilate, and our breathing quickens. Could this be the real deal that finally gives us our rightful place among the greats? If that's not searching for real magic, then I don't know what we're looking for as a group. After all, don't we have lifetimes of magic in our drawers and on our shelves? Don't worry, I get it. We talk about the latest and greatest magic books here as much as anybody else. Well, almost as much as other magicians. But if we have all this stuff already, why do we do it? In this episode, we're going to focus on what's holding us back and what we can do to combat magic stagnation. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to stop buying magic books just yet. But what I found while I was studying for this episode was helpful to me, and I think it will be valuable to you as well. And while I understand that some people just like to collect, magic ultimately exists to provide experiences of wonder to your audience. To answer the question that we posed earlier about what's holding us back and how do we avoid magic stagnation, I want to give you a little story. There was a teacher who had a class in pottery, and he divided his students into two different groups. In the first group, he told them their grade would be based solely on their output. How many pieces of pottery could they generate throughout the year? There was a number of pieces for getting an A, a number of pieces for getting a B, etc., etc., etc. The second group, it was all about quality. They would be graded on only one piece, providing a perfect piece of pottery at the end of the semester. And naturally, this created two different strategies. Those in the first group got busy making pottery, spinning the clay and firing the results as often as they could. The second group opted to spend most of their time researching techniques, tools, the types of clay you should use, painting, sealant. They didn't really make any pottery. They mostly studied how to make the best piece of pottery. At the end of the semester, the results were clear but startling. All of the best pieces of pottery came from the first group, the quantity group. They were busy churning out work, creating things that people could use, learning from their mistakes, and making incremental improvements along the way. The second group was too busy thinking about what a perfect result looked like and never actually got started on the grind of actually putting out a useful piece of pottery. By the time the second group attempted their perfect piece of pottery, it was too late, and the results were inferior to those of the quantity group. I think the lessons in this parable are somewhat obvious to magicians. The latest and greatest trick or book, gimmick, technique, whatever, isn't really going to make you a better magician. The only thing that will make you better at performing magic is, well, performing magic. Of course, practice is important, but only to the extent that it's moving toward actual performance for people. And I'm a big proponent of practicing for people that you're not afraid to be bad in front of. Whether that's family, friends, colleagues, whoever is in your circle that you're comfortable with them seeing a more vulnerable side of you. If you're afraid to perform magic for others, then you need to find some friends or some people in your life that are willing to give you feedback or constructive criticism on something you're working on. People who will help you improve as they seek improvement in their own journey. If this fear of performing for others is a big problem for you, I heard about an effective, if a little bit terrifying solution that was proposed by Doc Hilford. If I recall the story correctly, he and a friend would go to the mall prepared to perform a few pieces of magic for the people wandering around. The catch was that they were wearing a tutu over their clothes and had to approach and perform for people wearing that tutu. That quickly helped them face their fear of being able to approach a group and ask if you could share some magic. Because once you take the tutu off and you're just dressed the way you would normally dress for your engagement, then it becomes so much easier if you're not afraid of being rejected or being laughed at. The bottom line is, I think we should be finding something in a book that we own or a trick or whatever is important to you, something that piques your interest that you feel like could be a cool thing for you to present. Practice it enough to get the moves down, then quickly move on to sharing it with people who will have their minds blown if everything goes according to plan. And if it doesn't go according to plan, then figure out what went wrong and then try it again for another group. The greatest compliment I have ever received about my magic came from a driver who was taxiing me around Mexico while I was there for work. As he dropped me off in the morning, I decided to share a quick magic trick with him before I entered the building. He seemed to love the trick. With that, I headed into work and didn't think much more about it. At the end of the day, he told me that he had been thinking about that magic trick all day, and more importantly, he told me that it made his day. So here's what I want you to do. I know you've read plenty of tricks, and there are some that have piqued your interest. Maybe you've even put some of the work in. Find one of those, go out and perform it for someone, and make their day. And who knows, you might just get a little bit better in the attempt. As always, my friends, I appreciate you watching, and until next time, keep reading and practicing and performing. You know, all the stuff we just talked about.